Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 276. Wishing all Tech It Out listeners who celebrate a very Merry Christmas as this show runs across the country between December 24th and the 26th, and Hanukah is wrapping up as well. However you're spending your time and whomever you're spending it with, I hope you're all enjoying yourselves during this festive time with friends and family. Be safe out there on the roads as well. I know bad weather has impacted travel for many of you. Whether you're tuning in to Tech It Out on your local radio station or in podcast form, thank you for your support in 2022. It's been a fun ride, and there's a lot more coming up next year. Hey, we have a great show planned for you this hour. We're going to start off with celebrity chef Anna Olson about baking and entertaining over the holidays and how she uses tech for that. And this chat is in partnership with LG for full transparency. And speaking of baking, after that, we'll learn about the app called Cuisine, which helps you figure out what to make for dinner. Then, tech expert Amber Mack will join us to chat about some smart home ideas. And finally, Visa will join us to talk about the results of a study they commissioned called Fraudulese, the language of fraud, and how to best protect yourself from cyber criminals in 2023. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off the show with our first interview. It's the most wonderful time of the year, especially if you enjoy entertaining. And coming out of a tough 2.5 years of pandemic life, you may be looking to kick it up a notch this holiday season. And so who better to talk to about cooking and hosting, and maybe a little tech thrown in for good measure, than celebrity chef Anna Olson. She's the author, of course, of several cookbooks, a TV star, and she's quite active on social media, especially on Instagram with her 300,000 plus followers. Good to chat with you, Anna. Thanks for your time, especially this time of year.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So I did tease that tech may play a role here, and I know connected appliances from LG and its ThinkQ app could help in the kitchen. We'll get to that, but let's start off just sort of at a high level about holiday entertaining. You know, we do it every year, maybe even more so now, but somehow it always seems like it's sneaking up on us. What's the first thing you do when you're prepping this season?
Well, you know what? I have to agree with you, Mark. Even though the holiday season is in our mind early on and we start thinking about it, suddenly it's right in front of us. It does sneak up on us. So I'm a bit of an organizer. I love my list. So the first thing I like to do when I'm really getting into my holiday prep and I plan my menus, I do prep lists, and you sort of work backwards. You create these checklists based on the moment. So if you're in charge of the big feast, you figure out what you need to have ready the hour before you serve, the morning before you serve, the day before, the week before. And then that really shapes your lists and keeps your head straight so you know how much time to allocate. Part of that is also including your technology on those to-do lists. So I don't have to do it, but I can use the ThinkQ app to make my InstaView refrigerator make extra batches of the spherical craft ice before the gathering, so that is one less thing I actually myself have to worry about.
As a fan of the drink, the old fashioned, I do love those big spherical ice cubes at the bottom of my rock glass. So that's great. That was always a feature that when that came out a couple of years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, I love that, especially if you like to entertain. Can I just ask out of curiosity, do you keep lists and notes on your smartphone? Is that like one of your tools to organize these lists that you're talking about?
I do. And that way, for quick reference, if I'm in the middle of the grocery store, I know what I need and how I need it. And the fact that you can even pull up your recipes easily on your phone or tablet just makes it so simple.
Awesome. Okay. Now, what about when it comes to the actual hosting, not just the cooking and the baking for the big event?
Well, I think, Mark, a big part of the holiday stress is you want everything to be perfect and just so, but you also don't want to miss a moment, especially now. We're ready to enjoy our gatherings. Being a guest at your own party is possible. So in addition to the list, using technology briefly and well-timed allows you to still keep tabs on what's happening in the kitchen while enjoying time with your friends and family in other parts of the house. And, we are so connected these days, but with a simple pickup of my phone, I can access through the ThinkU app my LG smart appliances, and I can keep tabs on things like the turkey or the roast I have in the oven. I can preheat the oven, or I can monitor the cook time or oven temperature. If, say, we're having a great time in the family room. I am a new grandmother. So if I've got my little granddaughter on my lap.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But if she's on my lap and we're reading a really important story, I don't want to be putting her down to go check the oven. So I can, through my phone, in just a matter of seconds, using the ThinkU app, turn down the oven temperature to slow down the roast. So I'm not interrupting the moment, and I feel like I'm more in control that way.
That's awesome. I love the convenience factor there. So with connected appliances, you can control them with an app like the ThinkU, which is spelled THINQ for LG appliances, or you can use your voice with a nearby smart speaker to control those appliances, but you also in return can get push notifications to you, like when it's time to remove your food from the oven or if someone left the fridge door open. Also, what do you do when you've got a house full of guests and the dreaded cleanup is haunting you, even though they haven't left yet? What's your tip there?
So what I like to do, I try to do about an hour before I plan on serving my meals. That's when things are starting to come together. I load up the dishwasher, and I have the LG Quad Wash dishwasher. It's got 3 racks. You don't need to pre-rinse, and they have a quick energy saver 30-minute cycle. So by getting just one full batch of dishes out of the way, I empty it quickly. So then when it comes time to stack in the dozens of plates and glasses and cutlery, my kitchen is just one little bit cleaner. So then all I have to do is worrying about putting the leftovers away and getting back to having fun with my friends and family.
I like that. That's kind of like my rule when I'm on vacation. I take little glances at my email to reduce that major inbox when you return from vacation. If you do a little bit ahead of time, it can soften the blow a bit.
I love that analogy. So our kitchen mess is our inbox after a vacation.
Awesome. And speaking of those smart appliances, Anna, on this show, I often plug the LG convection slide-in range, and it has that air sous vide and air fry mode for either a slow cook or a fast one. Can you talk to us a bit about that? And I love the screen that you can knock to see what's inside so you don't let out any heat. InstaView, right?
That's it. Well, Mark, InstaView slide-in range has some amazing features. So the air fry setting cooks things comparable to a tabletop air fryer, except with a whole lot more space. Your entire oven is an air fryer. So if you need to crisp up those roasted potatoes or get the perfect golden brown skin to your turkey, that's the setting to use. The amplified fan and heat really guarantees that, and it keeps the moisture inside your roast too. On the other side, you've got your air sous vide setting, which is a super low temperature with a slower fan. So what I like to do is actually, when it's mealtime, so after I've pulled out my roast to rest, which you want to do at least half an hour before you cut it to keep the juices in, I set my oven to the air sous vide setting so it holds it at an even low temperature, and I put in my side dishes already in their platters to hold them warm. You can even keep your plates warm for your guests so the food stays warmer, and that is a great tip, especially if you have a large group that you're entertaining.
Love that. And then finally, before we tell listeners where they can get more info on your tips and some of the smart appliances that we've been chatting about, what's your favorite holiday recipe, I should ask?
Oh, that's probably the hardest question you've asked me, Mark. But when it comes to holiday baking, especially, I mix it up. So there are always a few staple recipes I make year after year, but I always like to introduce a few new recipes. And so the one I'm making right now are my spice and salted toffee blondies.
Oh, boy.
They are really something special. So it's like a brownie, but without the chocolate in the batter. I stir in white chocolate chips, but it's got some holiday spice. It's got a little sea salt on top. They stay moist, so they're a great addition to the holiday tin. Or if you put out on a plate, if you put just a plate of goodies out, inevitably someone's going to grab a few.
You think?
And enjoy.
Of course. Quick, yes or no. Eggnog? What's your take?
You know what? I'm big into the holidays, so I'm pro eggnog.
Yeah, you're pro eggnog.
And I'm even pro fruitcake.
Oh.
I know. Good fruitcake, though.
Of course. I'd expect nothing less from you, Anna. And then finally, where can we learn more about LG's connected home appliances and that ThinkQ app?
Well, it's very easy. All you have to do is go to lg.com.
All right. Our guest has been none other than Anna Olson, author of several cookbooks and TV star, of course, and you can follow her on social media like on Instagram at Chef Anna Olson. Happy holidays.
And to you too, Mark.
Speaking of baking and cooking, we're going to learn about the Cuisine app after this short break. This answers that common question that we all get from the kids every day. What's for dinner? So we're going to chat with the developer for that app called Cuisine for both iPhone and Android when we return on Tech It Out. But first, this show, Tech It Out, is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, accessories like keyboards, mice, and monitors. There's mobile tech like smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio. That's asus.com/US/radio. As promised, we're going to learn all about the Cuisine app when we return on Tech It Out, followed by a chat with tech expert Amber Mack, and finally, Visa's head of fraud. We'll share a number of money-saving tips for you for 2023. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. With the weather cooling, chances are you're going to be spending more time at home, making meals for yourself or the family, and we can all relate to that daily dilemma of what to make. Well, you may be fortunate enough to have a full fridge or cupboard or a pantry, but having trouble coming up with meals is a common occurrence for many. So an app called Cuisine is looking to help. We've got on the line Pierre Rochon. He is the founder and CEO at Peroxo, the developer of the app Cuisine. Hi, Pierre. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for the invite.
Pierre's based in beautiful Gatineau, Quebec. So look, at a high level, why don't we start with what Cuisine is all about?
So you alluded to it in your introduction. It all started with answering the famous question, what's for dinner? So Cuisine is really there to help people plan and prepare their meals. So you start Cuisine really, the power of Cuisine really comes from doing the inventory of what you have in your pantry, in your refrigerator, in your freezer. And it helps automate and build your grocery list as well. And you can also save money by it lists rebates from items in your grocery lists. And then it takes all that data and it correlates that with recipes, either that are shipped with Cuisine, that you added manually, or that you imported from the most popular recipe websites. And it will tell you what's missing from your inventory, from your pantry, your fridge, your freezer to make that recipe. And that's really the power of the app.
So the idea is you can itemize what you already have at home. Maybe you can walk us through what that process is like. And then it could suggest something to make with it, or it will help you, if you're shopping, to know what you've got as well, because you have it in your pocket on your phone, right?
That's correct. So the process really starts with when you download the app the first time and you install it and you run it. The power of the app is really from your inventory. So the first thing users would want to do is add all of the items they have in their pantry, in their fridge, in their freezer to the app. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do the long process, which is manually, or you can actually scan barcodes from those items. And the accuracy of the app, depending on where you're from and what type of food you stock in at home, is around 85 to 90%. So we use a national database that's freely available to basically take the barcode, take a look at what that item is. We import that into the app, and then you can say how many of that item you have, and then you build your inventory that way. And as you're using the app, you can then use the barcode scanning again to say that you've used, let's say, a can of diced tomatoes, and then it'll take down one item from that inventory for you, and it can automatically add that to your grocery list. So next time you go shopping, oh yeah, that's right, I used a can of diced tomatoes, right. I used a a pack of spaghetti sauce or whatever.
And then when it comes to, all right, what's for dinner? The $1 million question. So how does the app work then? You can generate a recipe based on what you've already got?
So that functionality is actually an upcoming functionality in the app, probably more in the early 2023, summer 2023 area. But what the app can do right now is, as you're importing recipes from some of the popular websites out there, or recipes that you have already at home, that you can scan the picture of a printed recipe and it'll actually import it inside the app. It'll do a match of what the ingredients for that recipe is with what you have in your inventory, and it'll color code all of those ingredients. Green means you have enough of it. Yellow means you have it, but you may not have enough. You may need to buy some more. And red basically means you don't have that ingredient at home.
Got it. And when you scan the barcodes, it could also call out intolerances or food allergies that you've identified, right? And warn you like, hey, Mark, you said your son has a tree nut allergy and you just bought Nutella. Don't forget it has hazelnuts, that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. So using that same barcode technology that we use to add the items to inventory, we also know what's inside, what are the ingredients of that, let's say Nutella, like you use as an example. We know all of the ingredients inside Nutella. So if you're a user of the app and you know your son or yourself has a food allergy or a food intolerance, and you select it in the app, you say, I want to be warned about nut allergy, for example, as soon as you scan the barcode, or when you import a recipe that uses an item that may be an allergen to you, it'll notify you right away.
Oh, cool. We are chatting with Pierre Rochon, founder and CEO of Paroxo, the developers of an app called Cuisine, which helps you find something to eat for dinner. How much does Cuisine cost?
So download is free. There's a lot of functionality that can be used for free as well. But there is a subscription model inside of the app. So there's a monthly and annual model. Whether you're on iOS or Android, it's the same price. So the monthly subscription is 99 cents, and then the annual subscription is $7.99.
And just to be clear, it's either 99 cents a month or discounted to $7.99 a year if you prefer, right? And that's the incentive, is you get a couple of months for free.
That's correct. And what that subscription gives you, for example, we were talking about barcodes. So it's an unlimited barcode scanning. The rebates from your local merchants are only included in the subscription model. You get an unlimited search on recipes from popular websites, and the allergies that we were talking about. So the warnings about the allergies, that's also only included inside the subscription model. So if you go in the App Store, whether it's the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, if you just search for Cuisine, it's in the top search results. The icon is basically like a grocery
it's like a basket, right? Yeah.
With an apple, a jug of milk, and a loaf of bread.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I think that's a good description of it. That way they'll know that they're downloading the right one. Cuisine from Paroxo, Pirocso. Our guest has been Pierre Rochon. Thank you so much, Pierre. Great to chat with you, and all the best with Cuisine. Now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.
And happy holidays to you. When we return, tech expert Amber Mack will join us for some smart home ideas. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. One of my favorite guests is back on the show, just when we need her guidance on what's hot and what's not as we head into the holidays. Tech expert extraordinaire Amber Mack is joining us to share some of her gift ideas for the smart home geek on your list, with her picks for different rooms in the home. Hi, Amber. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Mark.
Oh, for sure. So why don't we start off with everybody's favorite room, the kitchen.
Yeah, so this is for coffee lovers. It's the Breville Barista Express Impress. So this lets you make a cafe quality espresso coffee at home. That means you can make a latte or a cappuccino. It has the new Impress Puck system, so it has intelligent dosing and assisted tamping. So basically, it learns over time in terms of adjusting the dose based on previous grind and tamp outcomes. That's just a bunch of really technical terms to say that you can become a barista in your kitchen and serve these amazing espresso coffees, and even do things like latte art as well.
Yeah, you had me at latte. Forget the art. I just want a good art latte. Like, I mean, yeah, who doesn't like a nice little design on top, like the leaf, but I just love a delicious latte. But just because this is radio, Amber, is this Barista Express Impress, does this take pods or is this where you grind the beans?
That's a really good question. So when I'm talking about the fact that it automatically adjusts the dose, so basically you take your coffee beans and it grinds them automatically.
Oh, okay, so it does grind it for you. Okay, cool.
Yes, so that's a really nice feature, again, with that automation. And there's lots of technology built in terms of getting that proper dose. So I love that it automates parts of the process, but also teaches you as well. So, when you're steaming that milk, I can't quite do the latte art yet, Mark, but one day I'm going to be able to master it. But again, last time I went to buy a latte, I think it was almost $7. So I like this idea. You can start to make them at home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And speaking of price, we should tell people to head over to ambermac.com to see these products in action and to see the pricing as well. Since it can vary, especially this time of year, it's probably smarter to just check it out at Amber's website. So we've got our delicious coffee, and now we're going to head into the living room. What do we have here?
Yeah, so this is the Ecobee Smart Thermostat Premium. So this is the newest smart thermostat from Ecobee. So it can help you to save up to 26% on heating and cooling costs. This is a big deal because we know that those are rising, especially during the winter months. It also adapts over time and learns your routine, which is super helpful in terms of the cost savings. It's also the only smart thermostat, Mark, with an indoor air quality monitor and an embedded smart speaker. And again, a bunch of really cool features. Easy to set up. It has help through the app, or you can request help from Ecobee. But this is kind of one of those gifts, Mark, that really keeps on giving, right, in terms of the cost savings over the course of the year.
And a key differentiator between the Ecobee Smart Thermostat and the other ones that are available on the market is that these work with optional sensors that you can place in different rooms of the home. So you can really get sort of micro on your comfort. It can sense room occupancy and make adjustments on the fly. Sometimes you can get a bundle as well where you get the Ecobee along with a couple of sensors to start, but it's a modular system. So you can always add more if you like. I asked you about the living room, but a lot of people, Amber, of course, put their thermostat in the hallway. And that's not where you really need to know where the temperature is ideal for you because most of us don't hang out in the hallway. But that's one of the great things about Ecobee. And by the way, a little fun fact is the Ecobee Smart Thermostat was the first on the market, a Toronto-based company, long before Google and many others. All right, Amber, so next up is a place that I spend an awful lot of time in, and I'm assuming you do as well, and that's the home office. What should we place in here?
Yes, this is the HP Spectre X360. So this is a long-lasting laptop, so it has a great battery life. It's also a 2-in-1, so that means you can use it as a tablet or as a laptop. It has an amazing graphics card and touchscreen display. It even has something called HP Glam Cam, so you always look well lit on any of your video calls. It's a 12th generation Intel Core processor, so that means you're getting great performance. And I know you know a lot about this as well. It's Intel Evo certified. So that means it has adhered to the highest standards and really guarantees that high performance. So this is one of those laptops that is going to last you for a long time and is a really great investment for work in the home.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that little Intel Evo badge or sticker that you may see on the corner of a laptop does certify that it has instant wake times, long battery life, a fast processor, fast Wi-Fi, usually Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E performance, several connectivity options along the side, and a few other criteria that has to be met in order for it to earn that Intel Evo sticker. And I love that hashtag GlamCam, by the way. That's awesome. All right. We are chatting with Amber Mack, tech expert, and she's chatting with us about some smart home ideas as we head into the holidays. The weather is cooling in this country, so we may be spending more time at home as well. And finally, let's end off on something for the whole home.
Yeah. So we're always talking, Mark, when we have these conversations about smarter home Wi-Fi. So this is a mesh system from TP-Link. It's new as well. It's a TP-Link Deco XE75 Pro. And basically, you can think about these devices as devices that you can place on different floors in your home to really blanket your home in Wi-Fi. So they work together and give you great speeds, even if you have up to 200 devices, which is a very large number of devices. I I actually counted recently. I'm pushing almost 40, but not quite at 200.
Oh, wow.
What about you?
Okay.
What do you think you're at?
Oh, gosh. I'm well over 50 or 60, but, 3 kids who each have a phone, a tablet, a smartwatch, a smart speaker. It's also an occupational hazard. I don't buy all these things that we just get, as you know, Amber, doing what we do. We get these sent to us.
I think that's the reality right now. And that's why you need to think in a different way in terms of your home Wi-Fi and ensuring that everybody can stream and game and really remove those wireless pain points in your home. Super easy setup through the Deco app. Just takes a few minutes. And also want to mention one of the things about this new technology from them is it actually helps you get the speeds that you're promised from your ISP or your internet service provider. I think that's something else that many of us want as well. So it's important to really upgrade your routers in your home and consider a different system if, in fact, you're having a lot of pain points in terms of your wireless.
Yeah, great point. And once again, I want to direct people to ambermac.com. Click on the word blog, which features these products, and you'll get pricing and photos and all that. Amber, it's always great chatting with you. I'm wishing you a very happy and healthy holiday season, and I look forward to chatting with you a lot more in 2023.
Yeah, same to you. We'll talk soon.
Hey, before we take a short break and chat with Visa about how to best protect yourself next year, discussing the results of their Fraudulese study, I did want to remind you that if you are going to be taking lots of photos of friends and family over Christmas and Hanukah, make sure you properly back up your photos onto external storage. So you can pick up inexpensive micro SD cards from SanDisk or USB drives or solid state drives, or you can rely on the cloud as well. But I like having an offline local storage solution as well. Just do something that protects your files just in case something happens to your phone, tablet, or laptop. There's always sales this time of year as well. Hey, stick with us. A lot more Tech It Out coming right up after this.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tech It Out. A couple of weeks back, Visa released a report entitled Fraudulese, the Language of Fraud, which revealed that when it comes to spotting scams, cybercriminals are finding vulnerabilities even among the most tech-savvy of consumers. Joining us once again on the show to discuss the findings of this report is Michael Jabbara. He's VP and Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa. Thanks again for your time, Michael. Good to chat with you again.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Before we talk about your report tied to Fraudulese, and I love that, by the way, and we will define that term, but it's kind of self-explanatory. Please tell us about Visa's efforts to fight fraud over the years. I know you've made a significant investment over the past while.
Yeah, absolutely. I think security is really the foundation of the payments ecosystem. It's what enables hundreds of millions of people to transact trillions of dollars globally. And so we make investments that are commensurate with that impact and with that scale. And so over the last 5 years, we've invested over $10 billion in technology and innovation to make sure that we stop these fraudsters in their tracks across things like data, investing in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and ensuring that we have world-class experts that are building, developing, deploying, and refining these tools so that we can stay one step ahead.
Wow, $10 billion. To say that's a huge investment would be a serious understatement. Amazing. So let's now talk about this report, Fraudulese, the Language of Fraud. What did you set out to find with this?
One of the core tenets of our strategy is really around intelligence. We want to really understand how our threat actors and fraudsters evolving their thinking, the way that they target consumers, so that we can kind of continue to refine and upgrade our defense mechanisms accordingly. And essentially, the key takeaway for us is that we're always analyzing trends, patterns across our vast network to understand how these fraud schemes are evolving and make sure that we are coming up with ways to ensure and prevent consumers from falling victims.
That makes good sense. So what were some of the key findings?
This is kind of one of my favorite studies for a couple of reasons. One of the big reasons is it really gets to the heart of one of the core themes of our fraud and risk strategy, which is that consumers are the weakest link from the payment ecosystem perspective, because they have these cognitive biases that can be exploited by fraudsters which can't be easily remediated. I can't just press a button and send out a software patch and prevent consumers from revealing sensitive information when they see an offer that is really too good to be true. And that's kind of what we have found in this report.
So this is often referred to as like social engineering, where it's not like an actual virus or anything, but we get duped into filling out information because we think it's a legitimate source. So we're the weak link, as you said, not some sort of malware or malicious software got in, but we are voluntarily giving out information that we shouldn't.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And I think that kind of goes back into this public conception of cyber criminals being these master hackers that are working in some shadowy, basement and getting access to all of these systems just through sheer coding.
Yeah, like in the movies, it looks like they have they're super fast and like you see all these zeros and ones flying around, right?
Right. Exactly. And that's, far from truth. Kind of the way that I think of these master fraudsters are very much closer to a psychologist, in a tweed jacket, sitting on a couch drinking a cup of tea. But really what they're doing is thinking about these kind of biases that we have that can be exploited. And that's really kind of what you see in this report. So, one of the known cognitive biases that we have is this kind of like positivity bias. Like we always kind of overestimate our skills. We think we're a better than average driver, a better than average comedian, like all of that. And you can see that here where, over 50% of the folks that we asked feel that they're very confident in recognizing a scam. Yet 73% of those respondents are likely to miss some pretty important red flags about digital communications. And so it's that disconnect between our perception and the reality where that's where kind of fraudsters strike.
So it's like overconfidence.
Exactly. It's overconfidence and, kind of really kind of thinking about some of these other these gaps in kind of how we understand and process information. And then there's this other example that I'm really fond of. So if I give you a technical presentation and I ask you to provide me feedback on it, and you may not have the subject matter expertise in it, you're probably going to talk to me about, grammar and spelling and formatting and font and size and things like that, because that's kind of how deep that you can go. So similarly here, what we have found in the study is that, over 80% of the respondents were looking at the wrong details to authenticate a piece of digital communication. They're looking at things that are relatively easy to fake, like the company's name or the logo, but they're not looking at some of the kind of the more complex elements, like, is this the right account number that I have? Like, is this the right transaction that I've actually made? Because it's a little bit harder to verify, right? So they're kind of going for the lowest hanging fruit, and the fraudsters are capitalizing on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but call it like the path to least resistance. Just like, oh, that's easy enough. I recognize that logo. It's my bank. Good to go. It passed the green light instead of taking the time to really look at it. We're going to get to some takeaways in a moment, some calls to action, on what we should learn from this conversation that we're having based on the findings from this report. More with Michael Jabbara, VP and Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa, when we return on Tech It Out.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Michael Jabbara. He's VP and Head of Global Fraud Services at Visa. And we're discussing a report that Visa commissioned in partnership with Wakefield Research entitled Fraudulese, the Language of Fraud, which found that even tech-savvy folks can be vulnerable to cyber attacks, which doesn't fare well for the rest of us. And so we're learning what to do. So, Michael, what are some takeaways here?
As you mentioned, the holiday season, so maybe I'm feeling a little bit more contemplative. But for me, the high-level takeaway is be constantly aware of your emotional state. And I think that's a good takeaway for your professional life, your personal life, but it's especially relevant when you're in a situation where you are being asked to give personal and private information. Because what we find is that when we are in an emotionally heightened state, our decision-making processes become less reliable. And we see that in the report, right? The key words that are being used by these fraudsters are related to things like you've won something. This is an exclusive deal for you. You're getting a free gift. This is a time-sensitive offer. So that gets the adrenaline pumping. And then you kind of don't really think through, like, is this a legitimate offer? Is this a legitimate entity that I'm interacting with? And that's where you start to kind of make some pretty bad decisions as it relates to your sensitive data.
We talked about this last time, is elder fraud, is having conversations with our relatives who may not be as tech savvy to make sure that they're aware these scammers are relentless. Like, they're going to call them, they're going to text them, they're going to email them, right? Over social media DMs as well.
Exactly. And I mean, and kind of that spirit as well, I can want to make sure that there's also some very tactical things for these and maybe less than tech savvy individuals to keep in mind. It's also making sure that you limit the amount of personal information that you share on social networks, because that information could easily get used to develop a lot more targeted messages that are more likely to be successful in getting you to reveal your personal information.
I heard there's a program out there that can pair grandparents with the names of their grandkids by scrubbing information on social media, hence the grandparent scams, where you're getting approached to say, hey, I'm stuck, I need some money. And, it's a lot more believable when they really have the grandchild's name, right?
Correct. And I mean, another podcast that we should do, it's really around kind of the ways that there's all this innovation that's happening on the technology side, which is making our lives easier as it relates to artificial intelligence and machine learning, where now you could see what these pictures are about, and you have these programs that can understand text. Well, you can run those programs to go through your Facebook pictures and then extract text from that saying, hey, you were just apple picking with your grandson, and there was an accident and now they're in the hospital. We need you to wire money out. And all of that can happen in a fairly automated, scalable way, much more than what we're seeing or what we have seen historically. So it's a lot of interesting sophistication that we see on that space, powered by some of these same technology innovations that are having a really positive impact on our lives.
Any other thoughts, Michael, before we wrap up?
I think just the last thing I would say is, a lot of these messages are very much meant to get you to fork over information that you shouldn't be. So always do what we call an out-of-band verification. So if you get a text message from your bank asking you for your social security number, don't respond to the text, don't click on that link. Log into your mobile app or go online and log into your account there, or call them directly from a number that is available on the back of your card. Those data elements can't be faked. And that way you could be sure that you can be verifying that outreach.
Some great common sense tips. Don't use the phone number that's in the email to call and verify it's really them, because that could be a scammer on the other end saying, yes, we're Bank of America, or what have you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Use the number on the back of the card. Very pragmatic advice there. And again, talk to your relatives about it, and then stick with reputable stores that you like to shop at and use reputable payment methods, which leads us to a good website to end off on. There is a website that Visa has set up tied to your security efforts.
That's correct. So you can learn more about kind of these types of fraud schemes and best practices to protect yourself against them at visa.com/security.
All right, visa.com/security. We've been chatting with Michael Jabbara, Vice President and Head of Global Fraud Services at the company. Thanks so much for your time, Michael. Wishing you a happy and healthy holiday season. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mark.
I think Michael is a fantastic guest. He's so knowledgeable. Thanks for all the messages that I get from Tech It Out listeners. I'm on social media if you want to drop by and say hi. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Post. It's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. I share lots of tips, ways to save money. For example, I'm a huge fan of the Slick Deals website, app, and browser extension, which could save you serious cash. I link to all my radio and podcast interviews, my TV spots, the articles that I write, and I answer your tech questions as well. Also, a huge thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor on this program, for those in search of incredible. Head over to asus.com/US/radio for more info on their awesome laptops and desktops. That's asus.com/US/radio. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and a safe week ahead. And I'll chat with you next weekend for the last episode of Tech It Out for 2022.